Yeah. It's Global 3.9. We're getting into our next religion's Hinduism. You can hear the music in the background. You know what it is. It's Super Mario Brothers. Love this game growing up on the old Nintendo system. Gotta love it. Right? And strangely, or interestingly, Hinduism really aligns, the ideas of Hinduism really aligns with Super Mario Brothers. Because Super Mario Brothers was sort of based on the religion of Hinduism to a certain degree, like as an inspiration. We talked about how Pokemon was sort of inspired a little bit, right? Pokemon was inspired by Shintoism a little bit, and Hinduism is going to be the inspiration behind the Super Mario Brothers. Let's start by understanding Super Mario Brothers. I don't know how far back you guys go, but let's check out the original Super Mario Brothers. I still remember this. 1985 on the big arcade. I got my first copy of Super Mario Brothers, my first Nintendo, for my birthday, my 12th birthday in 1988 or 89. And that was like amazing. I never thought my parents would buy me such a thing. Let's check it out. Super Mario Brothers. There we go. There's little Mario. Oh, yeah. Little Mario's running. Now look at this. The mushroom comes along, right? And the mushroom's going to make him big. And he's collecting coins. Pop those little Koopas. Now look at this. This is a free life. The little green mushrooms were free lives. Pick that up. Now this is the big one. Now this is a lotus flower. In India, in the Hindu religion, the lotus flower was supposed to be representative of the sun god and the god of fire. And watch what happens when a man gets the lotus flower. You talk about a direct influence from Hinduism. This lotus flower is going to bring the power of the god of fire to my man Mario. Woo! There he is. Turns into like a little fireman and he shoots fireballs. Now, why were the coins are important? The coins are important because if you get up to 100 coins, you got a free life. Because when you die, you come back, right? And you keep it. Now, that's kind of standard with all games, but with Super Mario Brothers, you could get free lives. This was really the first game where you could earn extra lives or free lives, and that's going to align itself with Hinduism also. Infinite power, right? To be like completely indestructible. That star made you completely indestructible. And turtles also had a special meaning in Hinduism. Turtles carried the weight of the world on them. Look at them go. Super speed, super powerful. And boom, you finish the level. And this is kind of an important concept. And again, Super Mario Brothers, I'm going back a long way to 1985, but this was kind of the first game where you could advance to another level, right? And you had this purpose, you had a mission. And the mission was to get to level 8-4. On level 8-4, you could save the princess from the evil Bowser. And that was your mission in life. And that's going to sort of line up with some Hindu beliefs here in a second also. Perfect. So that's enough of the Super Mario Brothers. Let's come back to, let's shift over to our slideshow real quick. And as we present, we see Hinduism was a religious belief based on reincarnation. And we've got some other terms here that we're going to put on the board in a minute, but I just want to go over how they align with Super Mario Brothers first, then we'll get them on the board as like sort of a lesson, right? A historian would note that Hinduism, and we'll get the timeline on the board in a second, dates back to about 1500 before Common Era, BCE. And it was a religious belief system that was based on this idea of reincarnation, that when you died, your spirit would be reborn. And depending on how you lived your life, that would determine whether you were reborn as something awesome or whether you were reborn as something not awesome in your next life. Okay? And then there were some terms associated with Hinduism. Dharma. You have a life goal or a purpose, right? In Super Mario Brothers, the goal, the life purpose, was to save the princess from Bowser, right? And you had to advance through levels, sort of like in Hinduism. If you died, you would be reborn as some other animal or object or some other version of a human. And your spirit was on this like never ending purpose, this quest to fulfill its life goal. And that is your Dharma. And along with Dharma comes karma. If you do good things, right? If you do good things and you act according to your life goal and you sort of follow societal rules, then good things will happen to you, right? If you kind of like know those secrets to life, then good things will continue to happen to you. And if you do bad things, then bad things will happen to you and you kind of go backwards. And so your karma and your dharma were important to driving what you would be reborn as in your next life and how your spirit would be reborn. If you achieve your dharma and you have good karma and you advance through all the levels, I blocked it, then you reach nirvana. You become sort of one with the universe, this sort of higher state of being where you understand all things and you have achieved your life goal purpose. And that could take several lives. You could, your spirit could die and be reborn again over and over and over and over again until you figure out your purpose. Okay. And once you have done that, then you reach this state of nirvana, this oneness with the universe. Okay. We'll come back to the geography in a minute, but let's shift to the old camera so we can get some notes on the board. Right. And so Hinduism, thinking like a historian. I want to know the who, the what, and the when. Right? And so who, well, these were Hindis. Okay. And so if you practice Hinduism, you are Hindi. And we are talking about the Hindi religion then. Okay, that's the who, what, and when. Well, the what we'll get to in a second. Let's start with the when. Timeline. Rough timeline. We know historians love to deal with their timelines, and we'll just kind of do it roughly. 1500 BCE. Sort of the early, what we are going to call the early Vedas. And we'll talk more about what the Vedas are probably in a future lesson. And this is going to continue to about 500 BCE. And then a sort of a more modern era of Hinduism is going to pick up somewhere around 500 BCE. Hinduism will become a little bit more modern as it gets affected by other religions like Buddhism. Okay? So you have the early Vedas, and then somewhere around 500 BC, and then you kind of have the hot time of Hinduism, while Hinduism still affects Indian culture today. There was sort of like the hotbed of Hinduism to about 500 BC. Okay, and then today it still has like a big influence on culture, and we should probably extend that out to today. Influences culture. I mean, it even influences Super Mario Brothers. It still influences our culture to a certain degree. So the Hindi religion is going to have this massive impact, right? So that's the timeline. And let's get into some of those other ideas that were on the slideshow there, right? And so the Hindi religion has a focus. This is a religion that celebrates the idea of reincarnation. Really establishes it as practice. And we'll come down here and we will define reincarnation with 3 stars. Reincarnation is this idea that a spirit your spirit even, in fact, when it dies, your body, your sort of carrier, might expire and die, but your spirit will be reborn in another sort of natural object or animal or human. And that you can be reborn. And so in this way, I don't want to say you live forever, but you kind of, right? Your spirit is on this mission, this purpose that could take a really, really long time. And this is referred to as your Dharma. I gotta check my spelling on this. I always blow this one for some reason. I think it's D-H-A-R. I'm going to go for it. Okay. This is your Dharma, and this is your life goal or purpose. And so your spirit is on this eternal mission, right, to achieve your life goal or your true purpose in life. And your spirit, when your body passes away, your spirit carries on and is reborn over and over and over and over again. And how much you're trying to achieve your life goal affects whether you sort of level up or level down, right? If you're really on target to achieve your life goal, if you're working hard at your Dharma to fulfill your mission, then when you are reborn, you sort of level up and you become even better and more wiser, and you attain an even higher position, closer to nirvana, becoming one with the universe. Your karma, right? Your karma also influences how you are reborn. Your karma affects whether good things or bad things happen to you in your life purpose. If bad things keep happening to you, then that sort of holds you back in your Dharma. And then when you're reborn, you go backwards. You kind of go level down. Sort of like if you die, if you run out of lives in Super Mario Brothers, you got to start over. You could literally end up like all the way back at the start if you keep being stupid and going backwards. Okay? And so your karma, if you do good things, if you do good, good will happen. And if you do bad, bad things will happen. Okay, and that is your karma. A lot of equal signs there. Sorry about that. Okay, this is like kind of the basic way that the Hindi religion works. Now, I do want to come over right before we leave. Let's talk about geography a little bit. Let me see what this setup looks like on the board here. I'm a little bit out of room. Let me just switch colors. The geography lesson is going to be mostly through the slideshow. So in your notes, set up your geography. I'd go down below the history stuff. And the big idea that we're going to focus on when we look at the slideshow is that geographically, Hinduism, the Hindi religion is really isolated to just India. And we'll talk about geographically why that happens. The geography of India is such that the Hindi religion is super isolated to just that peninsula. So the Hindi religion is isolated. So unlike some other religions that really spread easily around the world due to different factors, the Hindi religion is not going to spread very easily. And the Hindi religion basically only influences people that live in India even to this day. It never really took off in other places. And let's just check out the slideshow to understand why. If we go back over to that slideshow and go to the next slide and present it. Here is the geography that really makes it specific to India. Okay, this is a very limited cultural diffusion. India is a peninsula. It's surrounded on three sides by water. We also learn that there's this giant Himalaya mountain chain that runs to the north. Now, by the time Buddhism appears, we learn that Buddhism traveled on these trade routes sort of around the mountain chain, but Hinduism was sort of like trapped more central. There wasn't any trade happening at the time that Hinduism appeared with the early Vedas. And so Hinduism was really isolated. That silk trade route did not exist yet. And so Hinduism really only affected the people of India. And here is the Emperor Ashoka, at least an artist's recreation of what Emperor Ashoka may have looked like. And he would have been the emperor that was most responsible for spreading the Hindi religion across India. Okay, but it never really took off anywhere else, right? Stayed specific to that peninsula. Mountains to the north, surrounded on three sides by water, at a time period where there wasn't really any trade going on to allow that religion to escape those geographic boundaries. Okay, up here, I don't know why I put it on my geography slide, but just sort of for fun, here are some of the Hindi gods. They do tend to be blue. They got a lot of arms. Vishnu has 4 arms. Shiva has 8 arms, like an octopus. Here's Ganesh, the elephant that, the legend of the Hindi religion says that the tortoise carried 4 elephants, and the elephants held up the world, and that is your central god. Krishna and Rama, some other ones. I always love these names. Remind me to tell you in class about my buddy Rishi that I knew growing up. He was, or at least his parents were Hindi and from India, and he had a pretty cool Christmas tree I'll tell you about. Let's end there. Come back to the old... Hopefully the escape button didn't end everything. If I could just get the camera to reappear. And I'll say goodbye to you guys. Yep, so that gotta have me tell you the story about my buddy Rishi and some of the cool stuff that he did when we were kids. Okay, I'll see ya. Hope you enjoyed a little knowledge about Hindi. You could always go play a little Super Mario Brothers. You can find free versions online where you can play the old game. I used to love it. Enjoy.